Hey guys, welcome to another video here. Bit of an unusual one today. This is a 1987 Subaru XT Coupe. This is the front wheel drive, 4-cylinder non-turbo with the standard suspension. These did come in a 4-cylinder turbo as well as a 6-cylinder non-turbo. There was a 4-wheel drive version and also a version with adjustable height suspension, which was pretty sophisticated for the time. These cars are, without saying, incredibly rare and super cool among the classic Subaru community. This particular one is a good survivor. It does need some TLC, however. So I've actually had this car at least 6 years, I'd say. And I have actually never washed it since I have owned it. So this is all actually moss building up on here. And my plan today is to wash the car up, get it into the shop, get it running again. It seems like the fuel pump has decided not to turn on today. And then after all that, I am sadly going to put this car for sale. So I don't have all my cameras with me right now, but what I'm gonna do is begin with a rough wash on this car, and then we're gonna wheel it into the shop and try and get it going again. Now here we are with the first sample spot washed. Let's see how she looks. It already looks like it's worth a lot more money. Just like that. That is the original keys, super cool. The valet key, and what's even cooler is has a little button on it and a little tiny light. So now we have got into the trunk there. It was no issue, it unlocks, no prob. The trunk is pretty good condition. The car is like really decent for a survivor. Looking in the trunk here, I found this XT Coupe floor mats. These would be both the front driver and passenger. Looking in here, you can see why this car still exists is it was absolutely blasted with frickin' oil or wax. Bless you. In the trunk, we're all complete. There's our spare. It's some sort of assorted jumble, ready to party. And then an assortment of spare parts, some new stuff here, some old stuff, but otherwise this car is totally complete. Wow, even OEM wiper blades for it, new in the package. I got a couple other cool OEM bits. Really cool stuff. I enjoy seeing this kind of stuff. After the wash, we've now got the car into the shop here. I'm gonna go ahead and put it up and begin to try and figure out why my fuel pump is now not turning on. Now with the XT up on the hoist, we can check out some of the scary stuff. For a car that is nearly 40 years old, it is actually not horrible. Everything is all there. However, it is not awesome. So that's a little bit of a peekaboo in the front unibody there. And this is down the passenger side pinch weld. It does get a little crusty there. I feel like that's gonna be quite soft if provoked. And there's the little fuel pump in question. This is all I replaced initially to get this car to actually run. So I feel like I've got something going on there. And now in the back section of the car, it is actually quite good. Now we're gonna move down the driver's side here. So this is the rear of the rocker, which it is also looking pretty punky. There's some very scaly stuff here. And that, I imagine, is, that's It's something, but it's not something very good. And now up into the spot I was aware of, however, I feel like it is a little worse than I remembered. We've got a powdery floor there, powdery floor-like substance. Where it gets really messy is this is right under the pedals there. So we've got a bit of an inner rocker issue going on there. This is the carpet. You can see into the interior there. And then panning out here, this fella is actually our front unibody. So that guy would need some reconstruction. Other than that, the rest of the floor is rather impressive. This car is only here because it has absolutely been blasted inside and out with oil. So another gnarly angle of our driver's side floor. Fuel pump back out. I believe we are getting power to it, but our fuel pump is not actually turning on, so it's going to end up being the pump itself. Back with the pump here with direct energy right to it. We are not getting any action, so I'm gonna say this guy is pooched. It probably seized up from sitting. Like I said, this was new at the time, but again, kind of my fault for not turning it over for the last 5 years. So I'm gonna go ahead, order a new pump, and we're gonna continue on with cleaning the car and getting it ready for the sale. Now I've got the trunk emptied out here. These were all the contents. Those are the original floor mats, a variety of interior pieces that it was probably me who removed those for further investigation. Down to our ownership, used vehicle package. This is actually just a 2-owner car, which is pretty wild. Then we have some ancient OEM parts, the battery bracket, and a couple aftermarket parts. So some pretty cool little artifacts. I'm gonna continue to clean the interior in the trunk of the car. Back over to the trunk here, looking pretty good. I have yet to actually vacuum it. And all up in here, it looks really bad, but all of this is actually oil. So it's not a horrible thing, something you'd prefer. The trunk lock actually does work. And up underneath, again, that dark spot there is actually oil. Most of the dark spots on the exterior of this body are actually from dripping oil. Got another cool feature here on the XT, and that is the flat folding rear seat. Now here we are with the interior cleaned up quite a bit. We just did a basic vacuum and a wipe down. I'm gonna bring home some spray adhesive and help these door panels kind of get back into place. Both sides of them are doing the same thing. I do want to go over some cool features on this car that were certainly well ahead of its time. We have roll-up windows. That's not very exciting. This is really cool. This is the door handle and the lock. Then we have power mirrors. And then this is where it gets really wild. So a very unique steering wheel. These did actually come with a digital dash. This, however, is not the digital dash model. Over on the side of the wheel here, we have a steering wheel adjust. But this is what makes this really unique. So now we've got our steering wheel in free play mode. It goes up with the actual dash. So we're gonna lock it back in place. Then over here, we have this unique little guy. So pull, steering wheel, lift. And that just automatically lifts it. And that also actually puts it up even higher, almost putting the cluster up into the dash there. I feel like that is possibly for getting in and out of the car for bigger people. So push that guy back in, pull it down, and we are locked. This here is our horn. And now I'm going to apply some power to this. Even the ignition is in a unique location. Then we're gonna go through these wicked toggles, which actually also move with the whole column. Here we have our parking light, hazard lights, but let's power up the car and show you some of the cool stuff. So it does have a door sensor. It's telling us our parking brake is on, which it's not. A couple other cool warnings there. Digital clock. Really cool Subaru head unit. And look at that, a factory Subaru sound mixer. I don't believe I've ever actually tried it. Wow, that was the power antenna going up. Okay, so that must be the sub in the back, booming. Anyway, our power antenna did go up. Back to the head unit here, we are illuminated, so we're now on FM, and let's see if we can get some beats pumping. Oh yeah, oh yeah. We might need a tape for this. Yeah, that sounds crisp. Right on. What we really need is a tape to put in so we can put it onto metal mode, and then we're really partying. Now we're gonna let our power antenna go back down. I'll press it and we'll get a capture here. That audio you hear from the power antenna is actually what the car sounds like when you're ripping it, redlining. Back to our horn here. It's not the loudest horn I've ever seen. Up here, we've got, wow, working dome lights. We've got our door open. And up above here, we have a cool little pop-up sunroof. And it's just as simple as that, and we are sunroofing. This car does actually also have air conditioning. So going through our toggles on the side here, we have defrost, we have headlights, and we have our instrument dim there. We got a light out in that. There you can see our high beams on and off, our lights. So we'll move over to the other side now. We have defrost on, off, heat, bi-level, heat, interior, AC, and then underneath here, this is sneaky. This is for the intermittent wipers. Even the vents, like look how cool the vents are. It's got a really nice pocket there on the dash, even down to some Subaru embossed interior. Then the glove box there, and most of the lower half of the interior is all fabric covered. Down here we've got our cig lighter and our ashtray. Looks like it has not been used. And now, after going through those, you're probably wondering how you actually control the heat in this. And that is here. We have our temp slide, cool, hot. Then here we have our fan. And just behind that, we have some coin holders and a really nice size storage pocket. That pretty much wraps up the interior on this car. Last but not least, this car is manual. These cars, for whatever reason, were modeled after some sort of jet fighter. And it does come with this super cool jet fighter-like shift stick. I've got another unique feature here. Some Japanese people may be familiar with this. So we've got this little stick here, and if you know what this does, then you're a pretty cool dude. So it lifts up the seat. It's a lot harder to put it down because you're supposed to be sitting on it, but there we go. That does work completely. Another cool little guy underneath of our steering wheel pull is this little tiny access door to the fuse panel. Hey, now with a light under the dash, we have this guy, and that is exactly where it's supposed to be. There's a bracket and everything, and that is wiper select. So we have winter mode or normal mode. There's our little pedals. They are all looking good. Our floor mat, however, is kind of peeling back. And this here is something that Subaru slept on for a long time. This is a center air vent coming out the bottom of the dash right for the driver. There she is with the headlights up. Really, really cute little front end. Under the hood, everything is pretty much for the most part as I got it. It does have a couple little scary wire connections there. I guess going through the plug, it was not making a connection. I'm actually gonna tidy that up just so we don't have a fire hazard for someone. I have added in this fuel filter. because originally it had sat for 16 years before I got it, so now making it a total of 22 years, but I am confident that the fuel in the tank is at least clean, so once we get a fuel pump going, we should be able to fire this guy right up. Again, under the car, and that's what kept this here, is a lot of rust proofing. There's our power steering, AC, alternator, all intact, all for the most part working. Then the underside of the hood there is really good condition, but just absolutely blasted with rust proofing. Another cool feature I want to point out is the completely flush door handles. How do these guys work, you say? Well, this tilts down and you would go like that. The idea of these door handles and overall this car in general was to be as aerodynamic as it possibly could. At the time when these came out, they were one of the most aerodynamic production cars ever made. I do really enjoy the body lines on this car. Like, everything is just so awesome. A couple days later here, and we have our fuel pump in the car. So we are ready for that very special moment where we can try and fire this car up after 5-6 years. So we don't actually have a battery, so we're going to be using this booster pack. But in the past, this has been all she needs. And we'll connect our leads here, black to black, and then red to black. There we go. I wasn't kidding, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for. Power, maybe. Wow, would you look at that? You can see we are charging. I'm gonna assume our sending unit does not work because we have put 10 liters in. We got oil pressure and then our temperature down there. Brake light on because it is leaking fluid and currently has no fluid. Hi. So we have now made it that far. We are running. I'm gonna shut it off here. So we've already made great gains in this video so far. We got the car tidied up. We've gone through all the features. As far as I can tell from the used vehicle package, this car was last on the road in 2004, making that 21 years since this has been driven. With that being said, I'm going to put some air in my not so awesome tires, and I'm going to pull the car out, drive it around my yard a little bit, and then from there I have some very sad but also uplifting news. I have a strict personal rule where I will not take on owning another car if I don't have room to keep it inside. Recently, I picked up a car that I could not refuse, and it is one that I am undoubtedly going to keep long term. As much as I would love to see through the finale on the 87 XT Coupe, I do have a replacement coming for it, and with that being said, I did have to get rid of one car. So I still have another 80s Subaru stashed away in my collection, but sadly I have to let this guy go. The fella has actually already come, seen the car on the hoist. He knows exactly what he's getting into. He is very ambitious about the project. I am very excited for him about the project because I really would love to see this back on the road again. I wished it could be me, but sometimes things just don't work out like that. At this point, I probably have 10 projects just like this car, and let's say miraculously I could complete a project like this once per year. That puts me 10 years into the future to complete the current cars that I need to complete out of my own stuff. Finishing one car per year is highly unlikely. Most of these personal cars have taken me years to complete on my own, unless I somehow magically start to make more money and I can use my guys at the shop to actually help me put in the hours to complete these cars. Otherwise, when I do my own cars, I solely do them in my spare time on my own. All right, well, let's wheel this guy out. And I just want to say thank you to anyone that watched this video. I hope you have the same enthusiasm about these vintage Subarus that I and the fella who has now taken ownership of this car, along with another fella who did come to see it, who is definitely very passionate about it. It is a very small community for these early Subarus, but there is certainly a place for these cars within the Subaru community. The early Subarus, I would say, were definitely the most quirky of them all, later paving the path for additional, more modern, quirky Subarus, which the big brother to this would actually be the SVX. Oh yeah, getting out into the wild now. Power steering works good. Now keep in mind, I actually do not have brakes on this, so we're just gonna let the Lord take the wheel. We're doing some improvised engine braking there because going down a hill in my driveway and I was afraid of crashing. There you go, the improvised engine brakes worked. Here we have it, guys, with the car up in the overflow garage. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will deeply miss the 87 XT Coupe. Hopefully if the guy finishes the car, we will definitely have it back on the channel for you guys to see how far it has come. Until the next one, make sure you guys stay tuned because eventually I'll let you know what I bought to replace this. Happy Subaruing! That was cool.